Thanksgiving's over. We're back in our homes. Bryce has a new background. We're only talking college football and Fallout. And that's about it. That's Coffee with Specs. So,
all right. See you guys next week. Oh, wait. No.
Wow.
Sorry, you said that's Coffee with Specs, so it sounded like we were signing off already.
All right. Well, it's Selection Saturday. The games are just wrapping up as we record this. So we should have
Championship Saturday, Selection Sunday.
Whatever.
This is tomorrow as of we're recording this. Though by the time you hear this, all of our information will be
probably wrong
or
wrong.
Possibly wrong or whatever. But we're talking, some baseball, some Fallout, some.
So let's start with the
college
big
football.
Let's start with the big bulk that is college football. We headed into Championship Saturday, sort of knowing a little bit. We at least knew that Washington was going to be in. Just a matter of where. Looked like they were going to be at least number 3. We knew. Well, Michigan. We kind of figured Michigan was going to win against Iowa. They did. The only real question would be number 1 Georgia, number 4 Florida State. Now, Georgia lost, and I guess that has the ability to shake things up. The 2 curveballs were Georgia losing to Alabama and Texas beating Oklahoma State. And the only reason why Oklahoma State was in there is because BYU couldn't beat Oklahoma State. So really, this is all BYU's fault. And now we're sort of left in this weird, fickle position because Florida State's going to be 13-0, but they don't have their starting quarter. They're not going to have their starting quarterback more than likely for their playoff game, which will be New Year's Day. Because I think one of them at the Rose Bowl, so it'll probably be one of the New Year's 6 bowls. So we're in a fickle position, I'd say, right? Where I think we know what's going to happen, right? You're probably going to have Michigan 1, Washington 2, Florida State's 3. And then I think Georgia or Texas will be number 4. And
I think it should be Texas.
It should be Texas, but part of me wonders if
my main reason. Obviously there's going to be politics that goes on, and that's why I would be afraid of Georgia being only dropped to 4, because there could be some politicking of, well, Georgia's really the 4th best team. Are we going for best team?
That's the question.
Think about it, Georgia just lost to Alabama. Who did Alabama lose to?
Texas.
So honestly, by proxy, if head-to-head matters at all, then Georgia and Alabama are both out and Texas is in.
I guess the question...
Look, if you're the SEC, count this as a win because Texas Texas
they won the Big 12 an SEC.
And the Big 12, but they're going to the SEC next year, so just count it as a win of like, okay, the one year we didn't have an SEC team in the championship, we had a team that was about to be an SEC team.
Yeah, and I think too, on top of it, looking at the grand scope of things, this really was a very, very weak SEC. We sort of knew Georgia was vulnerable. Alabama was vulnerable for sure. LSU wasn't that great. Florida wasn't really that great. All really up and down, the SEC was just not as strong as it was. Like, really, the best conference was the dying Pac-12, where for a while you had half the teams in there, in the top 25. Unfortunately, USC fell completely apart, so where we wouldn't have had, we would have had a different scenario.
And then Utah got injured beyond belief to the point where they dropped out. So.
Yeah, Utah got injured beyond belief. USC had the virus that was Alex Gritch. So you had and then everything kind of just got on with Colorado. But ultimately, the Pac-12 really was the best conference this year in college football, and they're all gone, unfortunately. So. Really, when we saw the cannibalization, it was the Pac-12, not the SEC. I mean, it's going to be an interesting
ultimately,
spot.
Though, the fact that Washington came out in the end of that whole Pac-12 season undefeated, like, it shows that finally a team in the Pac-12 could do it. And it was a team that honestly, like The funny thing to me, and the game as we're recording
the
is the
done.
Louisville Florida State game is done.
Florida State. Yeah, so it looks like they're
Florida
in.
State just tackled them on fourth down. Looks like Florida State's going to win 16-6. Which, as you guys are watching this, that is definitely true. So, well, that confirms that. So
we had 3.
Your top four.
Now who's
your top
number
4
4
is going to have to be Michigan. I mean, we were working on this assumption.
Yeah.
We were working on Washington. Or sorry, it's probably going to be Michigan, Florida State, Washington. Well, actually, I'm guessing the way it's going to shake out, it doesn't really matter in the end because it's a matter of who plays. 2 and 3 play each other, but it's gonna be Michigan versus whoever they decide in at number 4, which is my guess is Texas. But
yeah, I think it's gonna be Texas.
Georgia. It's gonna probably be Michigan versus Texas, and then it's gonna be the game is going to be Washington versus Florida State, and I think it's in that order. I think Washington will be ranked number 2 at the end of tomorrow because they did a good job beating a good Oregon team, whereas Florida State kind of skirted by a not as good Louisville team. Louisville's good team, but not nearly.
But I want to point out the quarterback under center for this game was a guy who only had 4 attempts all season, so really it was just the odds were against them.
That's true. But still, isn't that going to be the case in the playoff regardless?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Maybe he's back
he was concussed. He had a concussion, but I think he should be well enough to go in a month.
It's 2 versus 3, right? So it's still going to be Florida State versus Washington. But I can see them giving Washington the credit for how they did. But no, I think, and here's what I thought was funny was as a BYU fan, I get a lot of Utah fans in my feed because they mention BYU more than they like to admit.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm recording this after the committee has announced its final playoff and we sort of talked this yesterday. I'm recording this Sunday. We recorded the podcast on Saturday. I just wanted to jump in, sort of throw in reaction to it. To it being Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama, 5 being Florida State, and 6 being Georgia. I disagree with the committee, and I'm going to keep this brief and short and simple, because I think the metrics they use are nonsensical. They're nonsense. They don't really matter. All they want is basically the better matchup and the more money field matchup, which is fine, but I much rather them just say it than try to hide behind, well, they're not the same team they were 2 weeks before, but Alabama is superior to them because we think they are, which Alabama's not. Why? Iron Bowl. They needed a miracle to beat them. Isaiah Bond. They lost to Texas early on in the season. They struggled in conference a lot. They don't look like a top 4 team. And I know there's plenty of pundits out there who are putting out videos on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, saying that this is the correct call because of the injury. I have to disagree. Why are you putting this emphasis on games matter? If on the 12th hour, 11th hour, it doesn't matter. They're 13-0. They've earned the right to get their teeth kicked in by Michigan. Last year, TCU lost their title game. They still got in. They went to the national title. They earned the right to get their teeth kicked in. You earn, in sports in general, you earn that right. Florida State earned that right to be in there. They shouldn't be punished because of a drop hit tackle that resulted in injury to a player, to their quarterback. Even their quarterback on Twitter, if I remember to save it, I'll put it up there, basically said, so I should have broken my leg earlier in the year so then the committee could see this team and realize it's more than just me. That's the position this committee has put players and teams in. Ohio State lost their quarterback. They still got in. So this whole thing of all of a sudden caring about team construction, injuries, and how they looked in the short term is nonsense. It hasn't mattered before. It only matters now because they knew that there was a slight chance to get Alabama in. Nick Saban has petitioned essentially for the last 2 years when they didn't get into the college playoff. Last year when they didn't get into the college playoff, they gave him a shot on College game day to basically petition to the committee that he should be in. Nick Saban is a sham of himself. He knows it. He's going to go to Michigan, go to the Rose Bowl against Michigan, and probably lose. And mind you, Florida State would have done the same thing. But this is the problem with the committee, is they can't, for whatever reason, if they want to take the thing and say, well, it's the last couple of weeks, then we forgot about the Iron Bowl because they did not look good against Auburn. So really what they're saying is they looked better in their conference title game. They beat a better opponent and screw off 13-0 in a Power 5. Because up until this morning, we were under the impression and told by the committee, win your title game, go undefeated, you're going to get in. Unless you're an ACC team going against an SEC team. Mind you, Florida State was perfect against the SEC. The SEC was awful. The SEC wasn't good. The SEC only plays 8 conference games. And in week 10, they schedule weaker opponents. I know I sound angry, and I'm trying not to necessarily be angry, but I'm trying to convey my point of the committee got it wrong. Plain and simple. They got it wrong. They got it unequivocally wrong. And they're trying to, pundits now are trying to turn face and try to say, well, actually, it's not wrong. That Alabama's the 4th best team in the country right now. Texas is the 3rd best country, and Florida is probably the 5th. I think this is right. It's not right. It doesn't make any sense because all you're saying is now that everything prior to week 12 and 13 don't matter. If you're going to get hurt early in the season so that the committee won't punish you for it and anything else. This sets up probably the worst precedence I've seen in college football. Yes, we're going to 12-team playoffs, so ultimately conference championship weekend doesn't matter. Because at this point next year, who gives a rip? Okay, they're the 4th team. Doesn't matter. They're still in this thing. Now they're not. That's the problem. Is now it basically says a weaker SEC is still better than the ACC. That's a problem. The committee got it wrong. If you agree, that's fine. Enjoy your Alabama thing. Enjoy it. They got it wrong. It's pure and simple. Booger McFarland said it 1,000% right. Greg McElroy on ESPN is just in a homer. Same thing with Herb Street. All these guys who just want who think that Alabama is the 4th best team, I think are just lying to themselves. In football, especially football itself, sometimes the best team doesn't win. A lot of the time. Realistically, I said last night what you just saw, I could really realistically see it not change and just have Georgia fall to 4. But ultimately, they put Texas in. That's fine. Ultimately, that's totally fine. But I do think the not letting Florida State in based on an injury, essentially, is ludicrous. It's nonsensical. The committee got it wrong. Again, I understand that a lot of people say, well, they got it right. And you can feel sorry for Florida State. But ultimately, the goalposts, granted, I'm glad this thing's going away because now we don't have to deal with this nonsense anymore. But I think at this point, abolish the committee, abolish all these idiots who don't know what they're talking about, and all they want is SEC football to reign supreme again. Because realistically, the SEC was not good. Wasn't a good conference this year. They should have no representation in the college football playoffs. And with all me getting off my soapbox, we'll get back to the episode. Yeah, bye.
But they were constantly saying, "Oh, Oregon's going to win this game. So what's going to happen? What is the playoff committee going to do when Oregon wins, and then all this other stuff might happen and blah blah blah." And everybody was just accepting the fact. And then there was some USC fans that I saw. Our friends, some of our friends were saying, "Yeah, Oregon's gonna beat Washington. It's a no-brainer."
I kind of thought they were.
Look, I get that Washington is weak defensively, but they just find ways to win week after week because their offense is just explosive.
I think the funny part is
how explosive it needs to be based on who their opponent is.
You know what's funny, and I didn't necessarily want to say anything, but the thought in my back of my head was, what if Oregon suffers from like home field syndrome, basically, where it's and then Michigan won 26-0 final. Whereas Michigan's used to like louder environments, you know, kind of like Utah. But I mean, if you're looking at quarterbacks, yeah, Bo Nix is the better quarterback. But I mean, we've seen time and time again with Washington, whether against USC, against Oregon, in terms of when they get into shootouts, Penix can go bullet for bullet, strike for strike. Nix can to a degree, but I think the thing with Bo Nix is Bo Nix has a tendency, and same thing with like Oregon in general, is Oregon has a tendency just throughout their history to, when the lights get bright, they very much back away. They don't perform as well. This has just been throughout the time that Oregon's been good, whether it was with, you know, going back with like Marcus Mariota, with Bo Nix, with some of the other guys they've had under center, and with teams they've had, Oregon's been dominant, and the national title comes and kaput. And it happened again, like, unfortunately. But a lot of it too is it's just the way it is with Oregon. And granted, like, I was leaning towards Oregon, but again, it didn't really shock me if Washington won, because Washington did beat them already.
I was all Washington. My thing when
you want Penix to win the Heisman, and I'm like, I guess.
I was mostly doing that for the penis jokes, but
I gathered that's why I kept doing the loser game shows, and I'm not letting you get away with this.
I'm not really fighting too hard for Penix. I do think that Penix
will get votes.
Jaden Daniels. I get that Jaden Daniels was probably the best quarterback or best player in the country.
What's funny? I disagree with that. I think the best player in the country was Caleb Williams. And you can con me all you want saying I'm a homer. But in terms of like who the best player is, like Caleb's in that discussion. What Caleb did. The problem with Caleb is you can silently be like, oh, you're just being a homer. But think about all the stuff Caleb Williams was doing throughout the year. But I mean, he's not in the Heisman race for, because USC sucks, but
he couldn't beat Utah.
The defense couldn't beat Utah.
But in the end, he had opportunities and he couldn't slide.
It comes back to what I said before, and I'll stand by this the entire year. Caleb Williams can't play defense, and the hire USC still in the defensive coordinator from UCLA is huge win for him. Like it looks like they're taking it, but ultimately that's the nature of it. I mean, when it comes to Heisman, it's probably going to be Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, and then Michael Penix. I don't necessarily know who's going to win it.
Here's my response
but we'll see.
To you saying Caleb Williams was the best player this year. No.
Why not?
His performances just don't match up to the other guys.
But okay, here's my thing. This would be my rebuttal to you. How much of his mistakes were because he knew he had to do more because of his defense?
Okay. Now that's a rebuttal for no. You're arguing something different than what I'm arguing. The Heisman doesn't go to the best player. In the league.
I don't think. No, I don't. Yes, agree. I agree with that.
If it did, I would agree that Caleb Williams would probably have been the Heisman all 4 years he was in college.
But if we're talking about
3 years, 4 years, whatever he ends up doing. No, my point is that who had the best season this year? He was not one of the top 4 or 5.
He didn't have the best. No, the best.
Is he the most talented player? I think so. I think he's the most elite quarterback to come through college football in many years.
He'll be going number 1,
and I think he's going to be an excellent NFL player.
Yeah. I hope he doesn't go to Chicago.
I say this as somebody who hates on USC openly and willingly.
Yeah.
But no, it's just he didn't have the best year this year in terms of his performance, because maybe there were some factors like what you were saying, but that if I'm a Heisman voter, I'm not sitting here.
Oh, no, I'm not. No, no.
Oh, tough. I'm gonna give him a first.
No. Trust me, I'm not that big of a homer. It's like give it to Caleb Williams. He clearly deserves it, but I'm just saying, like, if we're talking about,
that's what I'm saying. If we're talking about who had the best seasons, Caleb Williams was not it. That was what I was arguing.
Oh no, I'm not.
Your point was coming against me saying that he was who had the best season. I don't think. Look, I don't think Jaden Daniels did either. I'm more of a if I was to go with who I thought, I think Bo Nix probably. Jaden Daniels probably would be a close second. I think it's gonna be a close second. It's gonna be close 1, 2, 3 between Nix, Nix, Daniels, and Penix. But ultimately, I do think Nix wins. The interesting thing about Nix is last year I kind of viewed him as more of like a system quarterback guy.
I think he is. I don't think that's necessarily changed.
I think to some extent he's kind of a system quarterback. You're gonna hate this comparison. You're gonna call me either a hater or something. But I honestly see Nix as a Tom Brady type guy. The reason I think Tom Brady had one of the greatest. Look, whenever the debate comes up about greatest quarterbacks of all time or greatest players of all time, and people are like, well, Brady had, by and large, I will say this. Brady had the greatest career. And I've said this for multiple guys, like LeBron.
Okay.
If we're going to discuss who the best player is, if your definition is best career, then yeah, LeBron, Brady, some of those guys, like the stats all show like certain things. But I think that Brady, honestly, in his career benefited from being super talented in Belichick's system. Do I think he was super talented on all aspects of the field in maybe the same way as, say, like we'll have to see how his career winds down, but like a Mahomes, but like if you look at like guys like Joe Montana, trying to think of another
Peyton Manning,
big example. Peyton Manning, yeah, that's another big one where I think look, I honestly I would stack I'd stack Tom Brady right there with Peyton Manning below Joe Montana. I honestly, in that now again, this is going to be a matter of greatest players of all time.
You can say Peyton Manning's better than Manning. You can say Peyton Manning's better than Tom Brady as a Colts fan. I accept it. I need these filthy. See what I want is I want these filthy Broncos fans to stop taking my quarterback away from me just because he won you a Super Bowl. Listen, he won me mine first. CJ, get in line. He's from my horse team. He's going to the Hall of Fame with the Colts hat on. Go away, you disgusting Broncos fan. Let me have something.
But that's what I'm saying. I put Peyton and Tom Brady right around the same echelon. Yeah. Brady had a lot of assistants, like elite Hall of Fame assistants.
Not really.
That Peyton Manning. Well,
he had it for 1 year. He had Randy Moss for a year. And he damn near.
I'm not talking about his wide receivers because he was never like his wide receivers were never elite, and he was never super elite at passing. He just won a lot of games.
You remember? Okay, this is my comparison when you say like, oh, he's a system quarterback. I'm just gonna say this. Remember when I was talking about like, oh, maybe the USC hadn't opened up their offense, and you're like, well, when you have a good quarterback, you can kind of be more vanilla. Maybe it was just the same thing of like, hey, Tom Brady can throw the ball really far, and Randy Moss can run routes really well. Let's just run streaks. Let's see if a quarterback can stop it. All right, go. Like when you're that good, it's sort of like you said. When you're that good and you have that good of talent around you, hey, we're just gonna run a streak. We're in a streak with Edelman. We're gonna cut in with, or we're gonna run a seam with Gronk. Edelman's gonna run a hitch route in. That's what they did. That's not a system. That's just straight up backyard football.
That's what I meant when I said great assistance. Peyton never had a Gronk type tight end.
Dallas Clark would like a word. Dallas Clark was good. I'm not saying he's Gronk level, but I'm saying Dallas Clark was serviceable. Randy Clark. Hey, Marvin Harrison, Hall of Famer. Reggie Wayne,
I think
Hall of Famer. Austin Collie.
I think Gronk
scrambled.
Yeah, well, okay. No, here's what I do think. I think Peyton Manning was really good at taking players that were average and making them look.
Yeah, so is Tom.
Good.
Yeah, so is Tom Brady. The only time Tom Brady had exquisite caliber talent was Randy Moss and Gronk. I mean, Manning had it too with Martin Harrison and Reggie Wayne.
Look at almost pretty much every Super Bowl he had. Look at every Super Bowl he had. He was throwing to Gronk. Anytime he got into any sort of pickle, it was like Gronk.
Yeah,
Gronk.
You have a Frankenstein monster.
Exactly. No, but that's my point.
Yeah, if you have a tight end who's a Frankenstein
so many
monster.
people want to talk about the greatest player of all time in a vacuum. But then it's like, okay, if we're going to talk about him in a vacuum, then you have to strip it all away. So you have to strip the Gronk out of everything. Is what I'm saying for Tom Brady, and that's why I don't put him up there with a Joe Montana, who just that arm. I will even say this, and I know this sounds
you really
like a BYU.
Say,
I know this sounds like a BYU homer.
Is Steve Young the best quarterback of all time?
No. I think Steve
I was waiting for you to say that. I was gonna be like, please say the hot take so I can clip this. So I can clip this and be like Bryce and put it out there that Bryce says Bryce the Prince Gaming says Steve Young's the best quarterback of all time. Please, I will not say that Steve Young was the best quarterback. He just said Steve Young's the best quarterback of all time. We'll take it out of context. We got the clip. I will say this. I think he was one of the most. I think he might have been the most talented quarterback to ever come through the NFL. But his career was cut short by concussion. Better clip. Steve Young in today's NFL.
No, I think he was probably maybe and you can argue that with me with guys like.
I think Steve Young in today's NFL would have done better because they have you have systems that cater to more running, like guys who run. Like he wasn't Michael Vick,
so he never would have gotten all the concussions in today's NFL.
Yeah. No, you're right. But back to the college football conversation at hand here. But for all those Utah fans who love to hate on Bryce, just remember next year, you guys will be playing in a god-awful championship game against Oklahoma State. And to think you left the Pac-12 to play Oklahoma State. Bet you miss us now, don't you sons of bitches? I can't wait. I had that thought today. I'm like, man, it's going to be great when Utah's going to play these god-awful Big Ten teams. And they get nowhere. These Big 12 teams and get nothing in the standings because they're the best team in a god awful conference.
Not how it is. You sound like every Utah fan out there.
No.
Just not how it is.
I think but I'm saying top to bottom because you're the three best teams in that conference are what? Utah, Oregon State, and Baylor and BYU for the most part. Like if Nebraska,
it's Utah, Kansas State, and
maybe it's not as bad as I think it is.
Utah, Kansas State, and Oklahoma State are the three best probably going into next year.
Maybe it's not as bad as I think it is. I think it's just funny.
And every here's the thing, like comparing the Big 12 and the Pac-12, and then I forgot. Even next year, you're gonna have Arizona. And I think Arizona is going to progress year to year, and you're going to have a huge battle at the top for Arizona and Utah to see who's the best team in the Big 12. Because what's his name, Fafita or whatever, Delvin Fafita or whatever his name is, he's a crazy magic person. Like his talent is.
We'll see.
It's crazy. But the thing is I think with the Big 12 is the talent top to bottom in terms of teams. There's not going to be as many easy weeks as like you get in the Pac-12 with like Cal,
Yeah.
Stanford,
I guess,
Arizona
yeah.
State.
The bottom.
There's just so many weeks. There's so many weeks. And I mean, most years, Washington State.
Yeah, your bottom. Your bottom's
State,
your bottom's really the bottom. Your bottom's the bottom,
out.
but your high's really high, and there's not a lot of middle. Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot more
parity.
Crap conference games for Utah going into next year, and they don't realize that. And a lot of these newcomers haven't realized it.
Oh, no, I realize. That's why I'm making
games because you're going into these games and it's like these teams aren't necessarily highly thought of, but they're very talented. Like a team I'll give you an example of is Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas.
They've got extremely talented players, and they can crack the top 25, but maybe not all the time. And it's like they may not win week to week or like every week, but they will win some games on any given week.
I think it
could be against Utah. It could be against, BYU, whoever. It's like,
I guess it's just rough when you're sort of trying to look at it top to bottom because, like, I mean, I guess you can argue that, like, oh, Utah should run away with it. They should run away with that conference. But will they? Who knows? Anything and oddities can happen. Like, NIL's very much evens it out. Like, Nebraska could come out of nowhere and dominate.
Well, and they're not.
TCU could be back for all I know. I don't know where TCU. Wait, what?
Nebraska's Big Ten. They're your conference.
Oh, right. They're my conference. That's right. They're my god awful conference.
They left the Big 12 years ago.
But like TCU and like things could change.
TCU, Baylor can be back year to year. It's like they recruit very highly.
Maybe I guess I should. Maybe the Big Ten might not be the greatest conference, but it's got a chunk of teams in the middle that are just gonna ankle bite everyone else.
You mean the Big 12?
Yeah, the Big 12's got a bunch of ankle biter teams in the middle.
Yeah, no, that's what and that's the point. Is Utah might be the best team in the conference, but are they going to be able to get through all those ankle biters? Especially with like they're not creating any goodwill on Twitter. Like they are just like coming out and being like, we're gonna wipe the floor with all you all suck. They're basically acting like USC fans.
Well, see, this is the part that's funny, and I think it's funnier because of like how USC fans are taking us going to the Big Ten. Is like we're gonna get our butts handed to us with like with the schedule. But two, when like for Utah, it's like I can see why Utah is very much like, oh, we're gonna run this conference. But see, the one thing Utah fans forget, and when I said this to Scott last year, you're like, well, that's just not true. When I said Utah snuck into back-to-back Pac-12 title games, and when I said they're going to lose the Rose Bowl again, you both were like, no, it's going to be a good game. And I said, no, because they're going to play a team that's actually good and they're not going to know what to do. And it's going to be that same situation again, where it's like, you might be the best team, but when you're going to get teams that are just going to beat themselves up in the middle, what are you going to end up doing? It's like, yeah, you can be you can run that thing and go, maybe you went out and go undefeated. Maybe. But ultimately, you're going to be in the same spot you were in the Pac-12, where it's like you're sort of fraudulent in that. And I mean, that's every team going to a new conference. Like the only real thing USC has, like you looking at like all these teams, is like USC is playing a juggernaut to begin. Like if USC could run that table, they're going to be like top 5 if they can run that first 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I can't say the same for Utah if they run their first 4 weeks for the most part. And the same thing goes like Oklahoma. Oklahoma, if they run it, they're going to be probably top 5. If they run it with how the SEC is going to probably redo their schedule. Same thing with Texas is when you're in these positions, when you're switching conferences, you kind of have to look to move up. And I know like the Big Ten's not exactly strong because a lot of the teams that are in the West are going to be kind of still, but ultimately too is like they're adding a lot of quality. SEC's adding a couple teams like that's quality. Unfortunately, it does sort of seem like the Big 12 is the one adding kind of like a more chunks in the middle, but things can happen. But I do think like when comparing it and looking to next year, would it shock me if it was like a Utah Oregon State? Not really. I just don't think that game's gonna be that exciting, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But the rougher one's gonna be when the announcement with essentially the Pac-2 being in with the Mountain West, even though it means nothing to the standings or anything.
Sure.
Which is rough.
Yeah, no, yeah. Sorry. I lost track of my thoughts. So
nice.
Anywho. What are we on to next? Are we on to Shohei?
Nothing happened.
Nothing's happened yet.
I mean,
the word is something could happen tomorrow.
I guess I can talk about this. In my podcast,
we may have to do is if something does happen day one of winter meetings tomorrow.
Nothing's gonna happen tomorrow. If something happened tomorrow, I'd be shocked. We
could insert something in.
I said this is my podcast. I expect nothing to really happen until Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, because it's the third.
Really, because all the reports right now are saying he wants to get it over with day one.
No. I know he's saying he wants to get over with day one. I just don't. Granted, I did say this too. I think what's going to happen is everyone's sort of waiting for the Ohtani domino to drop. And once that domino drops, I think everything's going to fall into place kind of quickly because this isn't that deep of a free agent class. So whether he goes back to I think it's going to be the Angels or the Dodgers. I think the reports of like the Blue Jays trying to get involved, I don't think they're going to do it. We know the Mets, the Rangers, the Mariners are out. I think ultimately it's coming down to the Angels and the Dodgers. I'm throwing out the Giants. If he goes to the Giants, Cole, take me. That's fine. I don't see him going to the Giants. I think that's just smokescreen. The Giants have been in on these free agents forever, and they haven't gotten diddly bupkis from anybody.
I honestly think this might be a hot take, but I honestly think.
But I think he's
Shohei. I think Shohei stays with the Angels.
I think he ultimately stays. I
honestly think this Dodger stuff is just his agent. Like, because all these reporters are saying, oh, well, Dodgers are viewed as the top thing. Although I, to some extent, wonder if that's just because everybody's like, oh, it makes sense. So yeah, Dodgers seem
well, see, it's the same. And I said,
I don't know if it's that or if they're actually getting word from
I made this comment too, and every time I sort of bring this up, I kind of get met with crickets. Is why I go, why would he want? It's like, why would he? And I stand by it. If the Dodger fan can figure this out, tell me by all means. I go, why would he want to go to the Dodgers? If you say he wants to win and all that stuff, the Dodgers have done jack diddly shit in 2 years. Since they won the World Series, they haven't done anything since. And on top of that, why in God's name would he want to go to the Dodgers where it's going to be he can't pitch, the Dodgers have no pitching, but he can hit? Why would he want to be in that situation? And it's the same thing with the Giants. Is they have Logan Webb. Okay, cool. But again, he can't pitch. He can hit. But you still have to sort of fill that gap. And it's like what do the Dodgers have? Nothing. What do the Giants have? Logan Webb. That's about it. They're all in the same spot. Realistically, it's not like the Yankees are coming to Colin, even though the Yankees are probably gonna get Juan Soto. It's probably more than likely, but it's that spot too of we're just looking at. It's like every team that's saying it, the only team that has winning pedigree are the Dodgers, and even that, if you're looking at them top to bottom, they're the Angels, but instead of Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, it's Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. They don't have any pitching and all that. And that's not me hating the Dodgers. That's me just stating a fact that their biggest problem was they have no pitching. And it's like, how are you going to address that? Oh, are you going to get Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto? you're going to spend $400 million potentially on two guys and hope that Ohtani can get back to what he was. Like that was one of the reports. I'm like, that's not happening. No matter how empty your pockets are, you're not doing that. That's not, there's no team in baseball that's going to operate like that.
How much do you think Trout is on the phone with? I'm not talking about Shohei. I mean, that I think they probably chit chat about this, but not much. I think Trout wants to keep their friendship as
I personally think
friends, but like, how much do you think he's on the phone with like
not as
friends he has across the league to say, hey, hey, if we get Shohei,
probably not as much as you think.
Maybe you come and we can get something done.
I don't think it's as much as you think.
which makes you wish that was the kind of guy he was.
But the whole thing, but baseball's not like
over.
See, baseball's
it's not like that. Baseball's not like that. Some of those guys. There are some of those guys in the league that do.
It's few far in between. It's few far in between. Yeah, it's not like basketball.
I know. But then it makes you wish that you had the one. It makes you wish you had the Bryce Harper type guy that's calling up everybody and going.
I'm sure they talk, but it's
come
not.
On over and play.
I'm sure they talk, but it's like I don't think every call is a recruitment call.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, is like, look at Bryce Harper. He actively in front of reporters will constantly and regularly.
He said that once. He said that to Trout.
Such and such. He said it to Trout, but he said it across other players too.
I think he's just saying
wants other players to come.
Yeah, but what he does is they say like, oh hey, would you like so and so to come? Yeah, I'd love so and so to come to Philly and play with me. Like that's how the frame's question. It's not like he's coming out, out of pocket saying that. Like I know the Trout situation, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna be on the phone with Trout and get him to come here if he hits free agency next year. Like, of course he's gonna say that. Like that made sense, but. I don't think I think when it comes to teams in general, I think most baseball guys aren't actively recruiting the way like NBA players are. I don't think it happens as much.
You know what I really hope? Is that we get another Jeff Passan tweet that says Shohei Ohtani.
That was the guy who
imminent.
That was the guy who blocked me, John Heyman, who messed that up.
Oh no, you're right, John Heyman.
John Heyman.
And then a few minutes later, they tweet out, actually, Shohei Ohtani to the Angels, and it'd be kind of funny if like there was like a word of like Shohei Ohtani to the Dodgers, and then next thing you know, it's like actually. Shohei
I don't think that's gonna happen.
No, I know, but like.
Mind you, never forget.
What was arson judge?
Never forget that John Heyman blocked me because I said his constant bickering and reporting on his bad reporting on Shohei Ohtani was white noise.
Which is funny. It's like a reporter who can't take it.
Yeah, like I'm not wrong though. Like I didn't say anything rude like F your mother or something. I was like white noise. Like that's all I said. I go, this is just white noise. It's like, well. And the best part is, I can still see his tweets. You bum. Ha, ha. Okay, carry on.
Yeah, well.
Loser.
Anyways.
Loser Heyman.
Sorry.
Gas bag Plaschke.
All right, so.
Sow.
Before we talk, what do we still have to talk about?
You want to talk Fallout?
Yeah,
I don't think that's something that okay.
It could be how we wrap up the podcast.
Okay. I don't know. Okay, what do you want? Okay.
I am hyped.
Okay, I'm not, but okay.
TV show to come out in 4 months.
Okay.
Look, there is almost no video game universe that I love more. Look.
Okay, what? Oh, what? Okay. He's gone senile. I see.
By the way, one of your most popular clips of all time was me going, oh, when we were talking about Oxy's streaming schedule.
True.
Anyways, sorry. I was just watching all your shorts the other day, and that was
why.
don't know.
They were most of them aren't that great.
But no, I'm excited to see what they can do with this.
We all have that one friend.
It looks fun. It looks like they're, at least based on the previews. Maybe the previews are literally the extent of it, but it looks like they're not going to hold anything back in terms of being a bit gory. They had in the previews a dog,
but that was part of the game.
Holding a severed hand.
Yeah, but I mean that's part of the game.
Yes, that's part of the game. But that's what I'm saying. A lot of these shows that are adapted from maybe more. I don't want to say intense because Fallout's not that intense.
No, Fallout's sort of thing. More
gritty video games. A lot of them.
I'll give you my gritty video games.
But a lot of them tend to put like this like nice like filter over it where it's like, yeah, it's a Fallout world, but it's kind of a pretty Fallout world. Like
I don't think
it looks like they're steering more into the like grit and intensity.
But I think that's part of Fallout. Fallout's always
CJ and I are stoked for it. And you're sitting here like, whatever.
I just want. I don't want anything. No, I just don't want to get. See, I just don't want to get. I don't want to get my hopes up and then like get my legs chopped off because it's not. It's not what I. It's not living up to my expectation.
Their lead actor's not Pedro Pascal, but
it doesn't have to be paid. It doesn't. See the. I think the big.
The big reason that one of the big reasons that Last of Us was so successful is because Pedro Pascal was
Pedro Pascal, and you had other guys too you had big actors sort of in it and around it, so it wasn't exactly like you had nobodies on top of nobodies.
But no, I like the look of it. The preview looks pretty good, so I'm excited for it. But maybe I'm not supposed to be, and you just hate me being happy. So
yeah, that's it. I just hate you being happy.
You hate my happiness.
I do. I
always have.
I do. I just want you to suffer. I want every team you root for to suck.
That's true.
So the Rams losing a lot makes me a happy little fat kid, and the Chargers losing always make me a happy little fat kid.
Yeah, well, the Chargers will always lose. To make you
Chargers are a bunch of losers. And it's hilarious. They
collect a bunch of talent and then they just.
I said this last week.
Coaches, it seems like.
I said this last week. I said the Chargers are the Angels of the NFL, and it's not even close.
Oh gosh, it's a good comparison, but.
And I don't reform.
That was our short little kicker of Fallout, and yeah.
The Chargers suck.
You wanted to bring up?
No.
Anything else you want to bring up?
No.
I
have nothing.
I have a very outside shot if I win the next 2 weeks.
I'm pissed. My anger has never been higher. Oh, I got us. I hate Alex. I hate him.
So I have to beat you this week. Right? It's you that I'm playing this. No,
I'm playing your wife.
I'm playing
your
Abby.
wife.
I'm playing Amber.
Good luck.
Which means I'm playing Timmy.
No, I think Amber does her own team, from if I recall.
No, Timmy at one point kind of.
I think she does most of it. And he sort of just like, I forget what I know.
He basically said he set her team up, and he set her team up in a way where he had players where if one team did well, then their players weren't going to do well, and vice versa. Like he set her defense to be like whoever she was playing, like is whoever her quarterback was playing that week. So it's like if the quarterback did well, she was not getting anything from.
And yeah, she's like second or third.
Worst thing in the world.
No.
So, but if I beat Amber, which would be a kind of a crazy thing,
I'm still mad.
And I need Timmy to lose and Jacob to lose.
I'm still upset.
I think we only have 2 more games, right?
Yeah. So I'm basically out. Like I knew I had to. No, it's 3.
It's 3.
because our last week is week 17.
We've almost got Dylan and Aaron in the basement.
They are.
No. I'm saying we've almost got them like
Clinched.
confined there, like where it's like one of those two is gonna have to do
I want my gripe. This is gonna be my gripe without. I know he's gonna lose. He's not gonna win the whole thing, no matter how much his trash talking thinks he is. He's not going to.
You sure about that? With
I don't think
QB, he could go off and have 50 points in a given week. Even in this league where they've castrated our quarterbacks points.
Yeah, you know what? I shouldn't have I'll say this, and I don't think I should have given up my.
You thought you were quitting. You thought you were quitting.
I shouldn't have come back. It's stupid because the way they run this league is dumb, and I think people and they should have expanded the playoffs to five or six because you're and I don't know why I'm blasting this like in a public forum, but playoffs should have been 5 or 6, and I regret the only reason I did 4 was because at the time we had 8 or something, and it made sense to cut it down because I think it was 6, and I'm like, no, let's just make it half. But now that we're at 10, it should have been 5 or 6. It should have been 6 teams. I don't know why they left that part in.
A lot of leagues do keep it to 4. So
the only reason I don't like it is because you end up with the situations like we have where it's like your bottom teams don't care. Well, stop caring. Like your 10, like your whatever the bottom half is, like the bottom tier doesn't care anymore. The middle tier will kind of fight, but really it's like if you're not in like 1 through 5, you kind of don't care. Like I kind of don't care because I'm 6, and it's like I care less. Like I'm not gonna crawl out of this gutter because I keep running into stupid morons who whine and complain that, oh, I didn't have 2 players and I had a guy with 30 points on my bench. Boo fucking who to me. Like, no. You're an adult who can't read. Like, it's your fault. And I have no sympathy for you. But it's like there are things that need to be changed, and that was part of why I wanted to leave. So I'm like, I didn't want to deal with this nonsense. But nevertheless.
Yeah.
Nevertheless. Stupid.
Yeah, sorry, I'm messaging my wife. Sorry. But no, yeah, so in 2 leagues, despite having like weird, like very not great starts, in 2 leagues now I'm like on the outskirts. So I have in one of the leagues I'm in, that's why I thought we had 2 games. We got 2 games left. And I am tied for 4th place, but if the playoffs were to start today, it'd just basically be 5th place. So I just need to win out, basically, and hope
I have to win
one or two of the guys above me lose out or lose at least 1 game.
Yeah, because I play Nick, Tim, and your wife. So if I win out, if you beat Tim, I win. I beat your wife. I beat Tim next week, and I beat Nick. Huh?
I already lost to Tim last week.
Or I have to I should have beat Alex. I'm still upset about it, but whatever.
Yeah, I just need to beat 2 guys who tend to have similar lineups to me in terms of winning and losing. So it's like, anyways. Hey, that's all I have. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No. I'm just sad. No.
You are sad.
No. Yeah. That's it. I got nothing else. I figured the college football stuff would take more, but it kind of didn't. Oh, well.
We're back.
Yep.
And
we'll be back
week,
for.
Specs will be wearing a very special shirt.
Oh yeah, that's right. We'll be back.
You're gonna have to like angle your camera somehow so that we can see your shirt. Yeah, just to like pin it up to your mouth.
Like here, just like that. I mean, I guess I could do this. I can slide. Oh, I can angle it. I can just lower my monitor.
Anyways,
Do this.
We'll figure it out. But I'll send that out. It is in my wife. The shirt is in my wife's.
I can do that.
No, because as soon as you get your head in, it takes away. But anyways, we'll figure it out. Yeah.
You could have had it.
Could have had it for this week, but I forgot.
He quote unquote. I don't know where I put it.
That was the truth. And I also just forgot to send it out even when I did know where it was. So
whose fault is that?
Now I know where it is, and I'll send it out.
So I'll be in a I will be in a BYU shirt, and
because at the time USC was undefeated, and Specs was sitting here thinking, "Oh, there's no they'll lose a game or 2 or 3, but they'll never."
I literally told you they lose 3 games.
Never lose back.
I said they lose 3 games. But
you said said this. I quote you.
They won't lose back-to-back games.
They'll never lose back-to-back.
And then what did I say privately to you? They're gonna lose every other game but to Cal, and that's exactly what happened. So my behind the scenes meekness won out, and that is the funniest thing. But a quick sort of scheduling thing for everyone at home, the 5 people who watch this. We're gonna probably we'll have this week's episode, next week's episode, the following week's episode. I don't know, so we'll probably have 3.
Maybe one of these weekends we'll do what we did last year.
Yeah,
do like a special.
So.
Top 10 Christmas movies of all time.
So I don't know. So the 22nd's a Friday. That's the weekend of Christmas. So maybe we'll do something then. Kind of don't know. It sort of reverts to sort of how Bryce and I sort of schedules kind of line up. Christmas is on a Monday. My birthday's on a Tuesday. Yay. So we'll kind of see how things sort of work out and back end. We might not miss an episode, but
there'll be weeks where Specs and I don't record anything, but you guys still see something.
Yeah, but I don't, as of now, I don't anticipate that happening. I'm not planning on going anyway. I don't plan on going away because of when Christmas falls, being a Monday. Being a Monday. So I'm probably,
we'll figure it out.
I'm not anticipating being gone that weekend, so we should be good to record. I know you're not going anywhere. We were talking about that when you're out here, so we shouldn't miss anything.
We saw each other in person.
I know we did. We had dinner together, and he had a giant burger, and I had a small burger. But
I ate that burger like a day or 2 later, and it was delicious.
I made the comment like you could have had like 3 meals out of that thing if you really wanted to.
If I really wanted to, but I think I ended up getting just the 2, which was the night of, and then
morning after.
Then I literally, and because that burger was so big and like the bun and everything, I heated it up, and then I used a fork and knife to cut it because there's no way I could like hold the whole thing.
Yeah. But I don't think anything will happen. Hope maybe Bryce will stream sometime soon. I don't know. He probably won't.
I plan on it. I plan probably in the 6 week or 2. Particularly is like I have time off going around to Christmas.
That's what you were saying. Like somehow you lucked out and you're like, oh, all right, cool. Bring back Mario Maker.
Maybe.
I was so fun. It doesn't matter, but I was going to do a Specs After Dark stream, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to now because we recorded later than I thought we were.
You should still do one.
What did I play? Mario Maker?
Can.
Maybe. Who knows? All right.
Maybe something you enjoy playing. I still say Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I'm literally.
You don't want to listen to me about that.
I'm literally I did a side quest and I had to fight a boss, and I'm like, I really don't want to do the side quest because that boss, it's like seems kind of obnoxious, and it's like, I don't want to do this.
But the end game is so interesting.
No, I know. If I played it, I think I would just speed run. I think I would just speed run to the end.
Yeah. Well,
all right. But we're back. We're better than ever. And we'll see what happens. So see you guys I'm Bryce, or wait, I'm Specs. That's Bryce, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Oh, see you guys.
Christ.